Hey everybody, real quick, just want to say that the following recording of the Podunk Nerd podcast, we had a slight audio issue with one end. We are recording in two different places right now, so we're having to record via Skype. So there was a slight issue with the recording volume, but rest assured we're getting it fixed up. The next episode will sound even better. So thank you all for being patient with us and enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Ray Coffman with my partner in crime, Adam Speigle. We're going to be bringing you the Podunk Nerd podcast every week, Thursday or Friday, depending on if life gets in the way or whatever. But we're hoping to have this out every Thursday for y'all to check out, because all the big guys do theirs on Fridays and Wednesdays. So we'll fit that nice little wedge in between the big guys dropping their podcast. You can check us out. Basically, what we're going to be doing every week is just talking about what we're into and what we're digging and maybe what we're not digging so much, and we'll just be bringing you our perspectives on things. And people have asked me already kind of what the Podunk Nerd thing means, and basically what it means is we are into super nerdy stuff. We are fans of these things. Even though I'm a creator and Adam is into these things, it's a weird perspective being into these things and not being in a place where these things are necessarily happening. So we have like a different perspective outside looking in. So Adam, tell them a little bit about what you got going on, man. Introduce yourself.
I mean, I'm into a lot of sporadic kind of anime. I like anything from like Gundam, pretty much anything that aired on Toonami back in the day, like old Moltar Toonami. That was my shit for sure. Just a little backstory. I met Ray like almost 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was at the little go ahead.
It was at Joseph Beth's, and I just happened to, I don't know what it was, essentially. It might have been some little mini con or something, and I was like...
It was the Kentokyo little anime con they had at Joseph Beth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I walked up there, and I was like, saw Ray was offering commissions, and I saw that super badass Spirit Bomb Goku, and I was like, well, I've never seen that before as far as like outside of the show. And I was like, hey, how you doing? I didn't know what to say at all. I was like, so you do art and things? Cool. That's fun.
Nah, I'm sitting in for a dude.
It was so cringy. And I like walked away, and I came back, and I didn't occur to me. It was like, oh, who does commissions? And I was also I was even dumber than that. I was like, what's a commission? What is that? Like, I pay him to sit there? And the friends I went with was like, no, stupid. Like, he'll draw something for you. I was like, get the fuck out of here. He will? Yeah. I mean, for a price, whatever. I was like, okay. And I walked up, it's like, I think I said something to the effect of like, so like, what can you do?
Yeah, I remember that. You were kind of just like, so you're looking at stuff you get your hands at. So what kind of stuff can you do? And I was like, well, I can do anything really, dude. What do you want?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know, Super Saiyan 4 Goji to do that. And
Yeah.
we were like, oh, cool. And took it home, framed it, and then it broke in the frame like 3 months later. But
That was not my fault,
whatever.
people. It was not sabotage, I promise.
The name strips are terrible. And so from there, it was just like I just happened to see him, like, oh, it's that guy again, it's that guy again, it's that guy again. Probably on like the 8th time, I was like, okay, your name's Ray. Got it.
Right, yeah.
I didn't know what your name was.
I think the first thing I noticed about you, I was like, oh, Speigle's your last name? Like Spike Speigle? That's so dope.
Oh, yeah. I have like a mysterious past, and I smoke and drink a lot.
Yeah. Practice kung fu in your spaceship.
Ray and I meeting, I pretty much, as far as characters in all of production or whatever, I always go for anti-heroes just because they just feel more interesting to me. And then I go on the complete opposite of the spectrum, and I like gigantic like kaiju monster stuff. Anything that has it in it, I don't care. I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Like Rampage, for all intents and purposes, is probably a pretty crap movie, but I didn't care. It had giant monsters in it. That's all I cared about.
Well, that's what that movie's there for, man. Giant monsters smashing. If you're going to see Rampage and it's got The Rock in it, you know what you're getting into. And if you don't, you deserve to sit there and hate the movie and waste your $15.
It wasn't cinematic gold. However, I wasn't expecting that as well. It's, that's my thing. I've got giant monsters all over the place. So, other than that, I mean, I love horror movies, and I play a lot of indie games on my PC. So.
Sweet. Yeah, like the whole thing with liking specific movies. It's cool to like popcorn movies, man. It's fine. Everything's not going to be Citizen Kane. I'm not going to go watch whatever new X-Men movie comes out and expect a tour de force. I know what I'm getting into. I know what I'm getting into.
My life.
Yeah, man. I know what I'm getting into here. I'm not going to go online and pan a movie unless it's just super bad. Unless it's just like, right. Let's say you're a director who gets the reins to a science fiction franchise with laser swords and you have no plan for what you want to do with that movie, well, then I might be upset about that. But other than that, to each their own. Enjoy what you enjoy.
This Castlevania movie, and the lead actor is going to be Dennis Quaid.
I would buy Dennis Quaid as Ronaldo Gandolfini, or whatever the whipmaker's name was in Lament of Innocence. Other than that, or Death. I mean, he could probably play Death now. You know what I mean?
It's going to be set in rural Alabama.
Hey, it could be like Castlevania, like 1898 or something like that. You know what I mean?
So it just slowly turns into Dark Tower.
Oh man, I still have not seen Dark Tower. I really wanted to see it, but when it came out, people were just like, it's not
a great book.
Yeah, it's a great series, and I just I still want to see it. I'm one of these people who I'm a visual person, being an artist, and so when people quote unquote spoil something for me, it doesn't spoil it for me. I still want to see it. I still want to watch it unfold. If right. It's what one person's hot garbage might be my lump of gold at the bottom of the pond. You know what I mean? You never know. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to have a balance.
I mean, I'm sure I'll hate it, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just from the trailers, when I looked at it, I was like, man, they took a lot of production liberties here.
Right.
It wasn't even about the casting. It was just like, this does not feel like what Dark Tower should be.
Well,
and whatever.
I was looking forward to like the you've got Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba, which are two of the best actors on the planet. And Matthew McConaughey is when he puts in his A game, if he's not phoning it in. You know what I mean? But Idris Elba, I've never seen him play a bad role. Even Heimdall, man. I mean, you take Heimdall, he has like a total of maybe 5 or 10 minutes in every Thor movie, and he usually steals the scene, whatever scene he's in.
He's just the doorman.
Yeah, basically that's what he's reduced to in the Thor movies. But he's got such a powerful voice, and he's such a good actor. It's like, okay, yeah, Heimdall, and then which
writers always give him like those heavy one-liners.
Right.
Like, is this like Heimdall? Didn't know you were so weak. I'm not. You are. And then the scene ends, and then he goes to something else.
Right. But I mean, not to get too far off subject, which there is no subject right now. But Idris Elba, if you have Netflix, watch Luther. Luther is dope. It's an old BBC show. I think that's kind of what put him on the map, so to speak, if I'm not mistaken. But Luther's awesome. I've watched it through twice. It's really good. But yeah, man. So nerdy stuff. That's why we're here. Let's get into it. So. Like, for those who don't know, me and Adam were talking a little bit earlier, and kind of brought up some warm and fuzzies. We were doing our mic EQ check and all that kind of good stuff, and then we were talking about video game music and it's not Let's Play video games. It's Video Games Live, the one that Tommy Tellerico does. And I went and saw that a couple years ago. We got to talking about Tellerico, and then we got to talking about G4, and then we got to talking about all these old shows. And if anybody listening remembers G4, I think it's still around on the West Coast, but again, Podunk Nerd, we don't live on the West
An
Coast.
abomination of what it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably reruns of like Robot Wars and stuff like that. Yeah, Cops. What's that, Live PD? What's that, New Cops or whatever,
It's got cheaters, cops.
Yeah. No more.
I came in at the swan song of G4 when I was little. Basically, the swan song was essentially when like every ad was Pringles.
Yeah, I remember that, dude. Doritos, Doritos and Mountain Dew, Code Red. Yeah, they knew who was watching.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I think it was like Cheaters, Attack of the Show, and whatever, something else. Near the end, they had like, now for our Pringles something of the day, insert blank. It's like, wow, these guys are, I mean, as a kid, I don't pick up on that. But like now looking at it as an adult, it's like, I guess they had to do what they had to do. I mean,
right. Sell your soul to the Pringles company, whoever that is, Nabisco probably or something like that. There's some Keebler elves smacking some whips off camera. It's like, hey, pay the fiddler.
Some people, I put it this way, some people used to fall asleep to MTV After Hours. I used to fall asleep to Cinematech.
Oh yeah, Cinematech was dope, man.
Yeah.
When that was around, I think when I got into G4 was around the Xbox era. I had an Xbox and a PS2, but I remember Fable had just come out, the first Fable, and so I was playing Fable like all the time. And I had this little studio apartment in Lexington. I was working third shift at Walmart at the time, so in midday I would fall asleep to X-Play and Judgment Day, which we were talking about because I got to meet Tommy Tellerico, and I was like, hey, I loved you on Judgment Day, but I hated you too. And then we were shaking hands. He goes, yeah, it was my job to be a jerk on that show. So I loved that. But yeah, I'll fall asleep to that stuff all the time. I miss G4. If anybody's listening to this, bring G4 back and bring it back properly, please, because that would do very well.
Like, I could live, honestly, if G4 just got a network that just played archived episodes of whatever.
Yeah.
Like just roll them. Like they're already produced. Just roll them.
Or you've got so many like podcasters now. You got the Games Funny Daily people. You've got who's the other one? Easy Allies. You've got all these streamers who are super popular. You would have a hard time not filling content. You would have too much content if you really want to get down to it. You could basically take a bunch of the best of Twitch and just put it on G4 with some shows and stuff that are pre-produced. So yeah, you could.
The gap, pretty much, of the grave, let's say, of G4 was basically filled in by YouTube.
Yeah, and Twitch. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
YouTube was just like G4 was on its way out, and then this thing called YouTube started happening, and suddenly there's, okay, now there's content all over the place, and people are playing Call of Duty until their eyes bleed.
Yeah.
So. And
everybody's creating content. Everybody with a webcam and a decent mic and setup and everything is playing, Call of Duty and whatever the big fighting game is and all that kind of stuff. So, but so we're gonna transition from that. So that gives you a little taste of kind of who we are and the kind of stuff we like to get into. It's just fun to talk about this kind of stuff. It's one of the reasons we wanted to do the podcast. Me and him, we talk about this stuff all the time. Like he said, he started as a fan of my work, and then we got to know each other. We jive real well with each other, and he's helped me out some shows and stuff. So we have a good time talking about this stuff. And we were like, well, let's talk about the stuff with everybody else who want to listen to it, listen in. So every week we're gonna come to you all we're gonna have a little bit of news here and there, and we're also gonna talk about kind of like what we're into right now. And for those of you just listening, I'm watching Adam like swat at something. He's addressing something off camera, and I'm trying to hold it in.
My wife is having like an issue with our Beagle pup who's losing his epic mind right now for no reason. So she's like, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know.
I was watching it. I was like, is he giving instructions or is he fending off an attacker? He's like, can you rob us, helm intrude us later? I'm doing a podcast.
These are racist symbols. Morse code for feed me or something. Anyway, I'm sorry.
But like,
yeah, that's an insight essentially, like Ray said, like where we're at and where we came from.
But yeah, so like last week, a bunch of cool stuff dropped. Like, okay, so I did a little video. I talked about it a little bit. I really dug the Smash Brothers Direct they did where they showed the Castlevania stuff. There were so many, like, for Nintendo fans or Smash fans or whatever. I'll be honest, I have not played Smash since probably Brawl. I haven't played. I didn't play anything on Wii or Wii U, I don't think.
I haven't played Smash since 64.
Yeah, but they got me in. I want to Switch now because when this thing comes out in December, I want to play as Simon and Richter from Castlevania. Yeah. I am a huge Castlevania nut. If y'all can't see, for those listening you can't see, but back here on my top shelf, I've got Vampire Hunter D, 2 Gokus, and all my Castlevania games. I've got every Castlevania game ever made, unless it was like on a handheld. I've got the PSP, but I don't have the DS stuff because I never played it. Order of Ecclesia and all that, I didn't play that stuff. But all the console stuff, I've got all that stuff back there. I'm a huge nut for Castlevania. I love that stuff. And when they introduced it, I was like, oh, it's super cool that, they're putting Simon in. I want Richter because I love the X series. I love, Dracula X Rondo of Blood, which I'm currently playing on my Vita. And then they announced Richter. I was like, no way! They made this for me! No way he should have made it into that game. There's no way he should have made it before Trevor, but he did, and I was like so excited.
Where were you at when you got this news?
I was watching the Direct because I was hoping the Castlevania would be on there. I've watched them a couple times before. I think I watched it when they announced the Switch. I knew they were going to announce the Switch. I wanted to see what it was. I was like, okay, what gimmick is Nintendo doing this time? Because the Wii and Wii U were gimmicks, let's be honest, But then when they announced the Switch and they showed it, I was like, wow. I was like, I want to watch the next Direct. I didn't watch the next one, but this was the one I knew they were doing. So I wanted to watch it. And then I did hear there were leaks that they were maybe going to do or announce Castlevania on this, but I had no idea. Apparently the trailer, a shot from the trailer leaked with Simon with the hood and everything on, and some of the music leaked. But yeah, so I had, I had no idea Richter was coming. I was like, what? That is so cool. And it was all, Yami Kojima did the artwork for the later Castlevania stuff, the oil painting looking stuff. So right off the bat, I saw that it was her artwork in the game, like her designs they used in the game, like for Death and Dracula and all that kind of stuff. And I was, in back of my head, I'm like, oh man, they might do it. They might do Richter, and they did. So I was super stoked about that. But that's just a little bit of news. If you all didn't know, that's going to be in there now. This time of year is kind of like a light year for gaming news. And like anime news, the stuff doesn't come out till fall. They're ramping up. They're getting ready to drop movies, animation, video games. They're getting ready to drop all this stuff. But right now, it's just kind of light. There's not a lot to talk about right now.
These are the hype months.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking forward to the things you know are going to be coming.
Evil 2.
Oh man, you already know.
I never played it. Like I told you the other day, I've never played it. I was too young when this came out, and my parents obviously wouldn't buy it for me, so I never played it. So now I get to play it, when it's all shiny and nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, you won't be able to go back and play the old one after playing this, man. I mean, I think about a year and a half ago, I played through Leon's scenario again, and I remember thinking, man, this is not aged well, but it's still fun for me to play because in my head it still looks like it did in 1998 when I played it,
One's hands are rectangles.
Yeah, they're doing this, the point to things.
They have to talk with emotions and hook hands and stuff. That always threw me also, in GTA Vice City. They had no movable hands or whatever, so everyone just talked with penguin hands. Yeah. So,
or like Claire or Leon walks into the gun shop. Don't shoot! I'm a human. Now you're like, wow, this is horrible. But still fun to play. I'm so looking forward to that. When they dropped that trailer at E3, I was like, I had one of those moments where I just went into stasis. I was like, couldn't believe I was looking at it because Capcom has done a really good job about guarding their secrets from leaks. That did not leak. Nobody knew it was coming. Nobody knew it was going to be at the show. Of course, after the show, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I knew it was going to be there." No, you didn't.
I had heard some mention that not that it wasn't going to be at the show, but they were, air quote, working on it.
Right.
And that to me read as, okay, so it's going to look like Code Veronica or something, which would have been fine. So, but I think, and this is a reach, and then this is from a different company, obviously, but I think the Spyro game and also the Crash Bandicoot game, those are re-releases as well.
Mm-hmm. And they're remasters too, I think.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is like, I think, and this is a good thing, I think what it is that the re-release or the remaster, when Crash came out, I expected Crash and it was like, whatever. No, they completely, utterly made a game.
Yeah.
And they didn't take it and polish it up or whatever, they just made this game. And I think Capcom just picked up on that. Like, oh, snap, okay. So we can't just take RE2 and buff out some polygons. We actually have to make a whole new game.
Yeah, they built it from the ground up. They're even changing story dynamics, like where you find certain people, what happens to certain people, where it happens. I mean, they're changing that up, so you're completely surprised when you play this game. Like, I'm really excited about it. And I've got a theory. Everybody says that they're going to remake Resident Evil Nemesis. Well, here's the thing. Those two games...
Because that's the only one I played, because I was old enough to buy it myself.
Well, here's the thing. Those games take place at roughly the same time, within a few hours of each other. So yeah. I think it's going to be either DLC or it's going to be the same game. I could see you running across, like, even in Nemesis, like, you come through and you see where they have shot, like, Tyrant with a rocket launcher. You know what I mean? You see the aftermath. So I think it's going to be... I think they might pull a fast one and make it the same game, in which I'm all in. If they do that, I'm all in. Sure. Well, what I want to do every week is do a couple different things to kind of let you all know where we're at and what we're doing and where our minds are kind of at with where our fandom and what we're into at the time. So we're going to do some segments called "What You Into," basically. So we're going to talk about, what are you into? What are you, watching, reading, playing? What are you looking forward to? Things like that. So we'll start it off here. Adam, what you reading, man? You reading anything?
I'm reading this terrible book called Aurora, and I don't know who made it. Hot garbage.
Damn.
No.
Yeah. I don't know who would even put that crap out there.
Man, right now I'm reading not a whole lot. I just don't have the time. But
and it's all good if you're not. I mean, no judgment here because you don't. Sometimes you just don't have time to do much. I mean, I get that.
One of the best books I've read in a while, graphic novel by Image, is Revival. It's so good. It's so good. It's got zombies, aliens, and not really. It's a whole lot of crazy shit going on in a small town, and it's really well written. And I think it's pretty deep into its issue releases at this point. But it's one of those things that I know you've experienced this too, Ray. Like you buy like, oh, I'll get the copies of that and read it. It just sits.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
It's a bad book. It's just like, fuck, I forget about it or whatever.
When I was reading through Bleach, when Bleach was coming out, man, like I'd buy the volumes for like $5 or $6 a pop, and they would just sit, and then I would sell them because I was reading them for free online. I was like, what did I just do? I had 7 volumes I didn't even get to, and I was like, well, I heard these 7 volumes are very good, so I sold them. Basically, I just burned $20, basically. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'll tell you what, man. So Revival, who does it? I know you said Image, but who writes it? Who draws it? Do you know?
I can ask ye old Google.
I can ask my computer. How long you been reading? Is it like a long series?
It's been out. I think it first released. Oh, and it's set in. I think it's set in like Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
So it's that. Tim Seeley's the writer.
Oh, okay.
I really like a lot of stuff he writes. Mike Norton is the artist.
Okay. I'm not familiar with him, I don't think.
Yeah. And, but it's one of those books where, like, I don't get upset if I have to reread some stuff to catch up where I need to be at, because I just enjoy it all over again.
That's good, man.
It's just a really good story.
That's rare to find something like that, too.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like I'm currently reading something, I've been reading it for years, Berserk. You know about Berserk. I mean, they just put out some new content. It's pretty fascinating stuff they're doing with story right now. Just when you think Kentaro Miura's like, expend all of his, faculties on telling the story so far, he has like all this other stuff he drops, like all these other... I'm into kind of like mysticism and fantasy and dark fantasy in my stories, not like Lolita or S&M stuff. I mean, but like Hellraiser and stuff like that.
Well, Berserk definitely flirts that line.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it does, but it's not about that. But there are elements of it for sure. Anybody who hasn't read Berserk, go read it. Go be shocked.
Watch the Golden Age arc.
Put it down in disgust, and then pick it up 2 months later because you're fascinated by it, and then come tell me what you thought of it. Because you will. You'll throw that book down. I can't believe I read that. This bullshit. I can't believe they did that. And you come back a week or two later. Well, I gotta know what happens, man. But people, you get the feeling in the story that people are going to start to get their comeuppance pretty soon, which is about time because he started this book in '89. So we're coming up on next year the 30-year anniversary of Berserk. So, but yeah, the stuff they're doing now, I'm really into it. Of course, Kentaro Miura is a master artist. Like, just looking at his artwork is just like, as an artist myself, I'm like, I should just quit. But when I get through the depression phase, I'm like, okay, now I want to work harder. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, once I burn through the this guy's a master, and I'm always going to be bitchy Anakin compared to his Obi-Wan, but it's great. It's really good. The last chapter I read was super dope. I'm looking forward. There's another chapter out I'm getting ready to read, but that's what I'm reading right now. I'm into it. I'm back into it. He takes these huge breaks where he'll take off for 4, 5, 6 months and just won't write or draw anything. Nothing will come out, and then all of a sudden, boom, he'll drop 40 pages on you. You're like, oh, okay, well, make some time to read this. But yeah, and that's about all I'm reading right now. I'm so busy with projects and getting that graphic novel that you gave that shining endorsement to earlier, Aurora, getting the 4 pages for that out, getting that done, and just art. And so really all I have time to do is kind of watch stuff and watch it in the background. You know what I mean? So that brings me to what you watching, man. What are you watching right now? I know you're watching some cool stuff.
I'm watching My Hero Academia. I don't know how people are pronouncing it. Academia? However, it looks like Academia, so I'm just going to say Academia.
If you say My Hero Academia and I call it My Hero Academia, I'm going to know exactly what you're talking about.
Sure. Well, I don't know. Like, I've heard people say Academia. I'm like, how are you pronouncing it that way?
I say Academia.
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced that way before, just in regular language.
I never knew who the hell All Might was. I just saw his face on, like, shirts and, like, merch and stuff like that. And I was like, who the fuck is that? I honestly thought, I was like, well, Dragon Ball Z has just said, fuck it. They're just throwing some crazy character into it that looks like some buff Texan or whatever. And so I started watching it recently on Hulu. The dub of it's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And pleasantly surprised. It's like if someone it's like if someone took the New Mutants and took 5% of Harry Potter and then combined it with the MMO City of Heroes and made an anime.
Dude, that's a really great analogy. I haven't thought about the New Mutants comparison, but you're absolutely right. It does have a lot of that X-Men vibe to it, but in
Sure.
a little bit more lighthearted way.
You get a power, and you get a power. And you
Yeah.
get a power.
Yeah, they're just handing out different power. And it's like a lot of anime, they'll do this thing where you go to school, you can learn all the base powers, but everybody's kind of got their special thing that only they can do. This doesn't do that. This show kind of, if now you've seen way more of it than I have, correct me if I'm wrong, but they kind of teach each person what's special about them, and they
Sure.
teach them how to maximize that, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and I burned through the first season, and I think I'm like halfway through the second one. Or I think I might even finish the second one, but essentially, it does have some anime tropes that I don't like, but it's okay.
Talk about them. What are they?
Time abuse. So it's like 7 seconds lasts 15 minutes.
Okay.
So it's like, at one point in the second season, there's something the students have to do, and they only have a limited time to do it. And one of the teachers says, "Okay, there's only 7 seconds left," and there's like a monologue.
Oh, dude, yeah,
6
yeah.
minutes. It's like, all right now, Piccolo, we can't keep doing this. So, and other than that, it's definitely aimed, I would say, at the probably 16 and up market.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of I think his name is Izuku. That's the main character, and he is basically just emotionally frantic at any one point in time, even though he has been given basically the best superpower in the whole show. He still like breaks down and cries. He's wimpy, blah 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 blah. But a lot of that changes rapidly in the show, obviously. But he still kind of retains that timid nature about him. So
now I've seen like the first 6 or 7 episodes, I think, and I really enjoyed what I saw. But yeah, it seems like they wrote this character, and I couldn't remember his name either. Is it Deku? Is it
Deku? Deku's easier to say than Izuku. Deku is what his like childhood
okay
friend / bully just called him.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Deku's probably, as far as the canon, an easier
Okay, but yeah, it seems like they kind of wrote this character who wanted to be a hero, but has all the traits of someone who would never be a hero. Like what I saw, he cries a lot. He not gives up, but thinks he should give up a lot, and is beaten up. And even when he gets the All Might powers, like his body gets busted up from it. I mean, he can't handle it at first. I mean,
his first fight breaks both his legs.
Yeah, he's breaking bones left and right. Like, yeah, I remember. I think that's where I watched too.
I was like, you shattered your whole lower half of your body. He's like, I can't give up. I was like, fuck that. I would have given up 2 episodes ago. I would have vomited that hair up. It's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to be paralyzed when I'm 60 years old.
Every time you throw a punch, you body yourself. You know what I mean?
Torture rack yourself whenever you fucking just try to do anything.
Right. But I think that's an interesting take on the hero's journey, really. That you mentally and physically and emotionally can't handle what you're about to do. A lot of times the hero's journey is someone who could be better than they are, but don't want to for whatever reason. And then when they apply effort, they're like, okay, I could have done this the whole time. I mean, there's so many stories like that. But I think that's an interesting take on him, because he, threefold, he's not supposed to be doing anything heroic. Yeah. And he's,
for anyone who hasn't watched it, he was it's not a huge spoiler. You learn the first 2 episodes, but he was born without any powers. So. Which
is irregular in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. So far, what would you rate this so far? If you were giving it on a scale of 5 stars, what would you give it right now?
I don't want to do that. I would say this is one of those things when, let's say someone comes up to you and says, I've never watched anime, what would you recommend? I mean, everyone has a friend who, if you watch anime, is like, what should I watch?
Right.
Because it's such a huge universe. Everyone has the classics. Right, not Metal Gear Solid, but
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist. Cowboy. You can go super retro with it and do Outlaw Star.
Dude, that's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is one of those where I think it's shaping up to be like one of those that pretty much anybody, in my opinion, could enjoy Cowboy Bebop, Full Metal, whatever. I think pretty much anyone could enjoy My Hero.
Cool.
So I think it's a solid recommendation, and it's not one of those animes where it's so niche that it has like 12 people that watch it. So, but I would give it, if I had to give it a star, I'd give it a 4.5.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to rate it since it's not a full body of work as of yet. It's not finished, Like, I think, what was the one that started strong? I think it was Fairy Tail. Started real strong. People really enjoyed it. But then toward the end, I think people really soured on it. Like, I think the creator made some bad story decisions, some bad character decisions and art decisions, and they really soured on it. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to rate something until it's a full body of work. One of the things I really like about Hero Academia, just in the first few episodes I've watched, is unlike some shows, like Naruto, for example, you got a lot with the older teachers doing stuff with the kids and teaching them, but it was all about, the young people coming up. My Hero Academia, it kind of takes that to another level. Like, the teachers and the older characters in it get just as much shine as some of the younger characters do. Like, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's got kind of the scruff beard, the long dark hair. He's always dressed in like black, but he's like their first teacher or something.
Eraserhead.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Like,
that's his hero name.
Yeah, he's a really popular. I mean, from what I saw, I really dug the character too. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be cool because he's like a hard ass. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he didn't even want the main character to pass, but then he was like, I can't deny this kid, but I'm going to be hard on him. I'm gonna make sure he knows what he's into. You know what I mean? Right. I love characters like that, and I like that they do that. I like it's not just about the younger characters coming of age and stuff. It's it's also about those. I'm an older guy. I'm 38, so it's fun for me to watch an anime where it's not a 15-year-old saving the world and slaughtering a year's veteran military general to save the world, which is ridiculous to me.
I just picture like one of his teachers being Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies.
Oh, yeah. I must break him.
Basically.
He dies. It's so funny. Yeah, you could totally write that character into that show too. He would be like just over the top enough to be one of their teachers. He could be the gym teacher.
just make him like a jacked like Guile ripoff. Like, screw it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And give him Guile's theme because, it goes with everything.
Home constantly.
Right. Yeah, like, I'll tell you what, man, that's pretty cool. Like, the thing I'm watching right now, I'm not really watching animation. I'm watching, like, some shows on Netflix. Like, I just got through watching a show called King's War, which is so good. I loved it. I'm into, like, Chinese period dramas and stuff like that, like military affair kind of stuff. I just think it's such a fascinating time. Like, when people in like Europe were like traipsing around in the mud and loincloths and stuff, these people had like full societies and cities and like, transportation and military weapons and stuff like that. And these people, were, back in like 200 or 300 BC. I mean, these people had like fully functioning, widespread governments and empires and militaries and all that kind of stuff. So it's fascinating to me to see.
Not to mention also, like the Chinese. I mean, I guess a lot of people don't consider it, but Chinese had a dark age as well.
Well,
where it was very, imperial ran.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In that sense.
Like I think. And again, I'm not an expert on it, but just from what I understand, I think the Qi, however you say it, the Qi dynasty, before the Han dynasty began, I believe that was a really dark time for the people of the country, because I think they were pretty cruel toward the end of their imperial reign and all that kind of stuff. But actually, King's War talks about that. It's the Chu-Han contention. They came together to fight kind of. To rise up against the evil empire, but it's really good. I really dig it. But yeah, that's I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch stuff. I just kind of turn on the TV while I'm going to bed for my 4 hours of sleep every night after I'm done working in the studio. But yeah, so yeah, cool. I need to watch My Hero Academia. I keep hearing it's great. Yeah, hearing you talk about it makes me want to watch it. So it might be the new throw it on in the studio watch. So what do you?
It's something you can. It's definitely something you can throw on and just like watch or listen to and glance at.
Nice. So what are you playing, man? What you playing right now? I know you were doing a little streaming there for a little while, but I think
I think I gave up on streaming because it was just like it didn't feel natural to me.
It becomes like a part-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that. Is just like I remember having like just an epiphany. It's like I'm not really a commentator, and I found myself was like I didn't want to do it because it was a situation where I would be like, oh fuck, I gotta stream today, and I was like, you know what? I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, if I'm not enjoying it now, when I'm like at ground level, why do it?
Yeah, when you really have to stick to schedules and stuff like that, then it really becomes a grind.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll make use of my equipment some other way. But playing, well, I've been playing a lot of the new season of Diablo 3, which I haven't touched Diablo 3 in a while. I know I'm a huge Diablo fan. It's on season 14, and for anyone who hasn't played Diablo 3 any of the seasons, essentially a new season is just a way for them to keep people playing it, and you get new gear and stuff. You're essentially playing the same game, but it's one of those games where I have muscle memory essentially with my macros on my keyboard, and I can just watch My Hero Academia while I play it. I don't even have to look at Diablo unless I die. Other than that, I've been playing around with just some indie games. Let's see. Check my recent logs here on Steam if it wants to work. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Diablo and Crash Bandicoot, the remaster, because I never picked it up whenever it came out, but I finally did. It's really fun because it was the first game I ever got. Literally the first game I ever got when I got a PS1.
I remember just a few weeks ago I watched you stream that. I was like, man, this looks really fun. They really kind of rebuilt this from the ground up. Because I remember playing it. I wasn't a huge fan back in the day. I was already, I think 17 or 18 when that came out. Right. But I remember, playing it and having a lot of fun with it. But to me, it felt like platformers I kind of played before, like Mario Brothers and stuff like that. Like Mario 64, kind of felt like Mario 64 a little bit. But just because of the polygons and the level layout. But yeah, I mean, it was fun watching you play it. It kind of made me want to play it.
Yeah, well,
it looks good.
It so fun to me. Well, what made it fun to me is that they have kept the same cheap, like, deaths in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Crash Bandicoot is almost like the Dark Souls of platforming. So,
oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, to the point where you have to time your forward momentum with your jump. And how hard you jump, all that good stuff, because obviously most of it's jumping. It's not hard, but it is hard.
Yeah.
It's a simple concept, but it's difficult because you only have a limited amount of moves. But what's amazing for me is that there is nothing about the game that is different from the original one. So it's total nostalgia blast. So it's like, oh my god! Like I remember this level, and it's
way prettier now.
way prettier. Oh, that's a crab. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
So
awesome.
Also been playing a lot of Cuphead.
Oh man, yeah, Cuphead's so cool.
Cuphead is super fun. And my wife likes watching me play it, but it is really hard.
Yeah, it's like old school gaming hard. Like games used to be hard back in the day. Like platformers were always super hard. Like you couldn't just blow through a platformer. Like, they were tough. And the boss fights in Cuphead were pretty challenging.
Yeah. I guess if Cuphead was an arcade game, it would be like the top earner for
People be pumping quarters because you're dying all the time.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, like, I like to...
Random question. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you go ahead.
What was a game that you... For me, it was Tekken 3. What was a game, arcade cabinet, that you're like, anytime you saw it, you're like, damn, I don't have any quarters, or, oh, I have some quarters, I have to play that.
I had 3. Okay, I had 3. Tekken 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
the arcade game.
The insane Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where there's like enemies all over the screen at any one time.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the one that was like the 2/3 view down looking, where it was basically Street Fighter, or not Street Fighter. It was basically
Streets of Rage,
Double Dragon, Streets of Rage, that kind of thing. It's what the Simpsons arcade game was modeled after. But I grew up in Harrodsburg, which there's nothing there. There used to be an arcade a long time ago. That was a long time ago before I was going to arcades. But the Walmart had like all those cabinets in the front of it. So after school, I would go to Walmart and I would just like pump quarters into these cabinets, and I would go through like $5 to $10 in quarters trying to play Mortal Kombat. I'd get so mad playing Mortal Kombat 2 because I would get, I don't know, far enough up to the pagoda to fight Kentaro, and I'd just beat him, and then whoever was next, I'd get killed every time. And I was like, this thing is rigged. Ninja Turtles, I pissed off some people because like I went every day and played that game. So one day I roll up and these 4 dudes playing. This is a 4-player cabinet. There's 4 dudes playing, and I saw quarters on the screen. But there was one guy who didn't have any quarters on the screen, and they were fighting Shredder. And I was like, oh man, this guy dies, I'm in. So, like, he died. And then he was sitting there cussing like 16-year-olds do when they're mad at a game. You know what I mean? He starts flipping the thing. I was like, move over, scumbag, it's my turn. I jumped in with 1 quarter. Pop. I took Leonardo, and I went in, and it was like 3 hits, and Shredder was dead. I got to put my name in the cabinet.
Wow. You like approach the cabinet and threw your quarter like a shuriken and just slipped right in.
Right. little verification sound effect.
Always what I played, and I would always lose. I think at what was it? It was the dragon ogre thing. It like breathed fire on people.
Oh, what was that?
Like a dragon, like this ogre thing that would like breathe fire on people and had wings and stuff in like Tekken 3.
Oh, I'm not as familiar with Tekken 3 as I am 2. I didn't play 3 that much. I do remember a funny story though. I remember when Tekken 2 came out on PlayStation, and I got it, and I remember going to the arcade and playing Tekken 2. I was like, wow, this looks like crap compared to the PlayStation version. That's why I was like, oh man, these consoles are passing up the arcades now.
Right. It was that, and some just generic as fuck stupid shooter game called Area 51.
Dude, yeah, I remember that. Had the guns attached to it.
You could hear it a mile away.
Yeah. I remember because it had 2 guns attached, and you could partner up with somebody, and you would, it's like, ooh, I'm really shooting guns. Look at me. I remember me and my wife recently took a little trip up to northern Kentucky, and they got a big game complex up there now in Newport, and we played House of the Dead 3, I think it was. And she's really good at it. I was like, wow, you're really good at this game. And then we spent all of our money playing House of the Dead. So that was pretty fun. Of course, this place had like no good games in it either. It was like all just like stuff you'd never heard of. That I guess that company had built and put in there. It was horrible.
So, side shot. You're familiar with, I don't know if it's still there or not, but are you kind of familiar with like the Woodhill Cinema 10?
Yeah.
Pretty poopy area. they had House of the Dead there in the arcade, and I had recently went to go see something with a buddy, and his mom came and picked him up, and my dad was going to come pick me up afterward. I played House of the Dead, the first one, which looking back on this is so stupid that I was terrified. But I played House of the Dead, and it's, old as crap. It's got, rectangle monsters and stuff. And I don't know why, but after I got done playing it, and I was young, but after I got done playing it, I just suddenly realized, like, oh God, I'm here by myself. And I wasn't by myself. There was like a full lobby of people and stuff. But that game just freaked me out so bad.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was just looking back on it now, it's like, why? Like, it's so stupid.
As well as weird young kid things, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I had things that messed with me like that when I was a kid. I can't recall them off the top of my head because I've always been a big fan of, like, horror and stuff like that. But every now and then, it would be a sound effect. It'd be a piece of music or a sound effect that would get to me. Not like a visual, but something audible that would mess with me. Like, there was a game called Nightmare Creatures on PS1. And there's this, the first level, you're walking and you hear, like, what sounds like chains rattling and stuff like that. It's part of the music. And then you just hear boom, 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 boom. It's just somebody hitting an open E on a bass. But it's just like the atmosphere with it, it's so creepy. Like, so me and my buddies, Diesel and Brian, who I grew up with back home, we'd be out camping or something like that, and one of us look at each other, we'd make the sound effect, and everybody's be like, man, shut the fuck up. Why are you doing that right now? So that was fun. But yeah, like right now, I'm playing a little bit of stuff when I can, just to wind down in the evening for 30 minutes here or there or something. I was playing Resident Evil Revelations 2, which was pretty cool. I liked that game a lot. It was, you get to play as Barry, which, you haven't seen Barry since really the first game. I think there was a Game Boy game with him, but I don't think anybody played it. But yeah, you get to play as Barry Burton and Claire Redfield, so that's pretty cool. I'm having fun with that, and it's episodic. So I think when the game was coming out, they were releasing like an episode every 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. But I bought the copy that's got like all the episodes on it. So I'll play an episode here, an episode there, and it's a nice little way to just kind of slowly digest a game. Yeah. People kind of knock on episodic games, but frankly, for somebody like me who doesn't have a lot of time to play and just wants to get into something real quick, I think it's a fun way to play.
For you too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Just like Revelations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was fun. I've been playing through that, and I got my Vita. The Vita lives. I've got it right here.
Jesus Christ!
I've got the Vita lives. The Vita lives. I've got it right here. Like, I've been playing Castlevania. I didn't know
anyone was still allowed to legally own one of those.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's banned in 10 countries. I've got my paperwork somewhere here for it, sir.
It's all in Russian.
Right. It's all backdoor shady dealing. PS Vita. But now I've been playing Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles, and kind of takes you back to a day when platformers were hard. Like, it's not like the original Castlevanias where, you jump, you're buying at a wedding ring because you're committed, you're not coming back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I remember talking about that with you recently, and I described it very vaguely. What's that one Castlevania where it's got like a howling dog and a braised glass?
Oh yeah, that was like Symphony of the Night.
Yeah. It was like, well, that's the only thing I remember. But yeah, for sure, I remember playing that Symphony of the Night because it was on the Sega, and I rented the shit out of it from Blockbuster. Another relic.
The cool thing about this is, like, this is Rondo of Blood, which was the first storyline for Richter, and you can they completely rebuilt this game. It's a complete remake, character sprites, models, music, everything. But as you go throughout the game, you can unlock the original Rondo of Blood and play through it. You can unlock the entire Symphony of the Night, and you can play through that on there. And there's a mode in Symphony of the Night where you can play as Maria, who's a little girl in Rondo of Blood, here's my only complaint about the game. You unlock Maria Renard, okay, and you're playing through Castlevania with Richter Belmont, and you're like, okay, this guy's a badass, I'm a Belmont, I'm coming through, I'm wrecking everything. You unlock Maria, and this little girl run through Dracula's castle and all those hordes of hell demons and stuff. You don't want to play as Richter anymore. She is so easy to use. She's faster to get through the game with. Her stuff is super powerful. I'm like, why would I even want to use the grown man when I can use this powerful little girl? You know? And like her voice interactions with the bosses, you know, that's like, ha 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 ha, young child, I've got you. And she's like, you're going back to where you came from. It kind of takes you out of the game a little bit.
Southern belle.
Yeah. Well, except she's Eastern European, but yeah, she's got that sassiness to her, you know, which is cool. I like that in those characters. But it's been super fun. I'm playing through it just a little bit here and there. Like if I'm taking a break, I can whip it out and play it for 10 minutes and put it down. The cool thing about the Vita is like when you're ready to stop playing, you can just pause your game, turn it off, and it saves exactly where you were. When you turn it back on, you're right there again. So that's perfect for somebody like me who only has 10 or 15 minutes to play at any given time. So AAA games I can't do anymore just because I don't have time.
Yeah, it's a lot of investment in it.
It is, dude. I mean, I wish I could get super successful to a point with my art and my storytelling to where I could, you know, give people scripts like, do it this way, that way, and that way, and I'm going to go play the new Metal Gear. You know, but
right.
I don't think that future exists anytime soon. So, but yeah, that's what I've been playing. Having a lot of fun with this little handheld stuff. And like the cool thing is, like PlayStation Store does like these big sales every couple of months, and the Vita stuff is always marked down like to $2 or $3. I'm like, buy that. I'll buy that for $2 or $3. You know, just download it onto here and have it on the go. Especially when I go on the road for shows. I got this with me right here. Everybody's like, get a Switch. Well, I'd love to get a Switch, but they're $300. I've got this right now. I can use it.
Sidebar. And this is something that a topic that I've been thinking about just on my own. Remember the world how it was before GameStop dominated everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you had Funko Land, you had EB Games, which might have been a subsidiary, but
Funko Land was the joint, man. I love Funko Land.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was the joint. Yeah. I think GameStop bought them. I think that's what happened to them, right? Yeah.
They probably. That was back when GameStop figured out, like, wait a second, we could be a glorified pawn shop and take over the world. And so that happened. But around here in Lexington, anyway, and I'm sure I've been all the way out to Seattle personally, and they do exist. It's like, you know, little mom and pop game shops. That will, you know, sell anything from SNES all the way up to, you know, a One or a PS4. I think, and you know, I'm really looking forward to that coming back, because as much as GameStop like allows a lot of convenience to people, it also is just like the only place just about you can get something. So
there are a lot of those shops popping up now these days. Like whenever I go to Harrodsburg and visit family or whatever, there's a little shop down there I visit called Final Boss Games, and you can actually find them on Facebook. They have all kinds of stuff. They have Famicom, Super Famicom, NES, Super Nintendo, PS1, all the way up to current gen stuff. They do game nights. They do I don't know if they do streams and stuff, but they do game nights. They do like Magic tournaments. I mean, they do anything to do with gaming, they'll do it there. And they give you like, and this doesn't turn into like a sponsored plug or anything like that, but I mean they give you good
but it could.
Yeah, they give you good store credit for like your trade-ins, all that kind of stuff. I've told people in Lexington, I'm like, go down and check these guys out. And of course there's X something Game Exchange. There's a Game Exchange in Lexington now, which is really cool. I like to go into any game shop where I can look at old school stuff. I mean, if you look at my shelf back here, it's all like classic retro games and stuff, you know? Like I've got stuff in the box, NES, Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo PS1 is my favorite era of gaming right there. Like the 16-bit and 32-bit stuff. I love that era of gaming. I think it had the best role-playing games, the best RPGs. I think, you know, I would still say Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time on Super Nintendo. ActRaiser's dope. Of course, you got Final Fantasy VII and stuff like that. But I could go on for hours and hours about that, but I won't. But yeah, so the mom and pop shops, the little independent stuff is popping up left and right, and it's a great time to get out and go do some treasure hunting. You know what I mean? Take a couple of your friends, go out to these shops, and just find something.
And recently, I think a lot of people have heard that GameStop's kind of financially are kind of hot water right now.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they're not doing too great. And I think it's a bubble they knew was coming for a long time. And but I'm saying, like, if GameStop just went away, right? I would love to see those, dozens of those just like differentiated little stores. Like we have in Lexington, we have Game King, Game Exchange, probably a handful of other stuff that sells games and is only that. Because back in the day, that's what FuncoLand essentially felt like.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like, I guess to put it bluntly, they weren't trying to suck your money out of you constantly. It's like, hey, come hang out, man, whatever. And it was just a fun environment. Whereas GameStop, obviously it's gotten really corporate. And
I'll tell you what, I was in a GameStop. I had lunch with a buddy of mine over at Crossroads on Nicholsville Road at that China buffet, if you know what I'm talking about. And there's that GameStop right next door. I went in there just to look around, and I think I picked up a $4 copy of Metal Gear Solid 5 or something like that on PS3. But man, it was just like, there's so much junk in there. There's so much like little collectibles and overpriced statues, and I was like, man, this is you could be putting like retro games in these cases, and they will sell. But it's just like, it's like a big nerd flea market is what it looks like. And coming from somebody who would love to go to a nerd flea market, but they've got about 5,000 square feet of space, like items for that amount of space fit into about 900 square feet. You know what I mean? It's just stuff on top of stuff, and it's hard to shop, and I don't like going in there. And I think if I was managing one of those things, I would probably close it for a couple of days. But what can we get rid of? What do we need to feature? Because it's just stuff on top of stuff. It's impossible to shop in there, and it's impossible to get around, and it's a terrible shopping experience. I try to avoid them at all costs.
Not to mention, if you were like someone who's listening to this right now and you're like, between the ages of like 18 and 20, 21, whatever, and you're in college, the best job to have, period, when you're in college is working for a mom and pop game store.
Oh, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
But on the other end of the spectrum, working for GameStop is one of the worst jobs you could have.
Well, I mean, you see all these articles popping up online. It's like, my horror experience working for GameStop. And then I remember when I was in college, I think this was probably, man, has GameStop been around? Yeah, I guess they have been around for 11 years. Yeah, so it was about 11 years ago. I was in college. I was finishing up. And somebody was like, you should go try to put an application in a GameStop. You know about games, about, nerd culture stuff, you'd fit right in. Well, a couple people told me that, if you don't get this amount of, what was it, reserves or whatever, you have quotas on reservations and stuff. I was like, you know what? That's a hard out. I'm already out. I'm not even going to put an application in. That sounds terrible.
I made a lot of my friends from the GameStop that was over off New Circle Road by the big supermarket, that Walmart thing. And I would just, I would literally, because I think part of me subconsciously missed FuncoLand. When I got a car, I was like, man, I don't know, I love games and stuff of that nature, and so I would just go up there and I would just like befriend the people behind the counter. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, hey man, what are you playing, whatever. And eventually got to the point where they wouldn't try to sell me anything, and I would just hang out for like 30 or 45 minutes at a time and just talk with them, which for GameStop employees, it's a big no-no.
Oh yeah, they're under the whip there, dude, for sure.
But a world with that GameStop at this point, and I do have friends who work for GameStop, and heart goes out to you, but a world with that GameStop at this point, I think, would be an improvement.
Well, I think it would certainly get by. I mean, even on the West Coast, there's all kinds of different companies who sell games, and even in the South, there's big, AAA stores. They're independently owned. Maybe there's one or two of them, but they sell all different kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a wrestler called AJ Styles, and he's a big gamer. He's like a big retro gamer. You know what I mean? I saw this YouTube video where he went to this little place in Georgia close to where him and his family live. He went in and he was sifting through a box of stuff with them. He was like, "Oh, I'm getting this." It was like $200 and $300 games. I was like, "Oh, I bet you will get it. You got that WWE money. You can get whatever you want." But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see this big store.
Card.
Yeah. He's got the members only. He goes in behind the curtain to see what they got back there. I got Chrono Trigger in the box with the maps.
Pulls it right out of the inventory.
Yeah, he pulls out like, "This is a brand new Legend of Zelda NES map. No writing, no burnt corners." Say it ain't so. Take my money. Let's put it on my black card. But yeah, man. So I mean, I don't know. People don't remember the mom and pop video stores from back in the day. That was one of the cornerstones of my childhood. Was going to a mom and pop video store on the weekends. So there was like a social event. You'd see other kids that you went to school with. Sometimes you wave at them, and sometimes you talk to them.
You would have de facto tournaments with people just playing the freaking demo.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Well,
I don't think even that in GameStop. That's what crazy people do. But back then, that's what we did.
Yeah, because you'd have it at the front of the store or in the back of the store, wherever they had it set up, and you would play it. I remember when Walmart got Super Nintendo back in 1991 or 90 or whenever it was that it came out. I was only 10 or 11, and I remember going to electronics when electronics didn't look like it does now in those stores, like a little corner of the store. Here's your beta tapes. Here's your VHS beta. Come get it. You know what I mean? here's your $2,000 27-inch huge as a car television. Come get it. But
plasma.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd go back, and they had this big glass box with these little two controllers sticking out of it, and I would play Super Mario World for like an hour.
depending on where your Walmart was at this time, the controllers either were there, didn't work, or someone had stolen one of them.
Right. The one in Harrodsburg was actually all right for a while. I do remember the system itself was broken at one point, but I don't think the controllers were missing. But the TV didn't come on anymore. So, and that was back when they all closed at like 9 o'clock or something. They weren't like 24 hours. So, but yeah, that was a wild time. That was a wild time to be alive, man, before cell phones and stuff like that. It's crazy to think about.
Or social media.
I know, man. Oh, man, where would we be without that?
MySpace.
Yeah. Back when you actually had to call somebody and arrange hanging out and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, thanks for adding me to your page. I really appreciate it.
Or you go to somebody's remember the MySpace page that had all the dancing GIFs, and your computer would just shut down when you tried to load it.
Right. I want to have like a literal dissertation about this is who I am, and I like these things, and something edgy and stuff.
I just quoted I love my favorite characters are like chickeny villains. You know what I mean? Like chicken shit villains. And so my MySpace page just had a bunch of chicken shit villain quotes all over it. And people were probably like, what kind of spineless, gutless guy is this? And everybody's like, I could bench press 300 pounds. And I'm like, live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Run away, fight another day.
Mine just had I didn't really put a whole lot of time into it, but I think mine just had skulls on it. I went to complete standard issue 16-year-old boy, whatever. Let's just roll with it. I don't care. Hopefully some girls hit me up.
What's the tattoo artist joke? Guy comes in, I want a skull.
Yeah.
What do you want? I want a skull. Okay. Well, I guess we're over an hour now, man, so we should probably wrap it up at some point. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for listening. It's tuned in. Appreciate it. We're going to do more of these, more structured, more goofy, whatever. We're going to bring some other people in here and there, and probably start talking a little bit more about news when news starts to happen. News isn't really happening right now for this stuff, but as it does, we will talk about it. So I think every week we're probably going to leave it with a little what you looking forward to. I posed that question to you, Adam. What are you looking forward to right now?
What am I looking forward to right now? I'm super duper looking forward to, although it's a ways off, the next Metro game. I don't know if you ever played any of the Metro games. It's like a Russian.
I know about them, but I haven't played them.
They're great. Other than that, though, anything recent? Red Dead Redemption 2 looks pretty cool.
Oh man, it looks so good.
Yeah.
I shared the gameplay footage trailer on the Podunk Nerd Facebook page the other day because I was watching. I was like, wow, this looks so good. I'm sharing this right now.
And non-video game related, Venom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm interested to see because I love Tom Hardy, so I'm interested to see how it turns out, man.
I'm just glad we get a redo of Spider-Man 3 at this point.
Oh man, that movie's so bad. That movie's so bad.
It's so
Even
bad.
people that are tired of that movie are like, "This is bad."
Yeah, and I think it was Topher Grace or whatever. That was the Venom guy.
Yeah.
I've watched some YouTube compilations just while I'm doing housework or whatever. Pretty much ruined him.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean
He was a hot commodity at the time.
He was, but he walked away from literally that 70s show to do this movie.
Yeah. Well, then he went back to the show too, like after.
Yeah, but it wasn't the same after.
Yeah, I think I watched the first 3 or 4 seasons of that show. I didn't watch all of that, I don't believe. But yeah, it was funny you bring that up. I was getting my oil changed or tires done or something one day, and in the viewing room, they were running that 70s show marathon, and it was the episode where he left, where he walked out on his wedding or something like that. And I thought it was weird just watching. I was like, wait, is this the episode where he left? He couldn't even shoot his last episode. and then I guess this is the next season where he came back, and I was like, oh, this is after Spider-Man 3 sucked, and he came back. But yeah, so it was funny you bring that up because I saw those episodes not too long ago.
And speaking of which, I mean, everyone me included, for the Venom trailer, was like, oh my god, they got Carnage in this movie. That's what I messaged you like a week or so ago, and I was like, well, I thought it was Carnage, and I commented on the YouTube video, and everyone was like, no, it's not.
Right.
Get the fuck out. Like, my bad.
The digital pitchforks and torches came out.
Basically, I'm not kidding. Like, I mean, I have update or notifications on my phone whenever I get a comment or something.
Right.
I was like, what? Okay, what happened? And my comment was only like, I don't know, 7 words. And people just lost it. It's like, it's actually Riot. I'm like, okay, I don't know who Riot is. I'll take your word.
Yeah, I don't either. I messaged a buddy of mine. I was like, I heard Riots, and I don't even know who that is. So.
I think it's initial bravado for Carnage.
Okay.
But Carnage, honestly though, in the Marvel universe, comic or cinematic, he's a big effing deal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The only reason people don't know who he is because Fox has had the rights to him, and he's not gotten any Marvel time. Since fans of Marvel now don't really, younger fans, and naturally they don't know the comics like they know the movies. Of course, you're going to know the movies more. So anybody not associated with the movies, you're just not going to know that much about, if you're a newer fan coming into this stuff. So it's like I talk about, if I were to come to someone and talk about X-Force or, Omega Red or something like that, younger fans are going to be like, who the hell's Omega Red? What's that? What are you even talking about? I'm like, I forgive you. It's not your fault.
Do you even Capcom SNK, bro?
Do you even Marvel vs. Capcom?
Back when people can jump 17 stories and do foot dives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good time to be a fan back then. Before all the movie politics come into it and all that, you could just read a book and watch it. You would never get Justice League versus Avengers now. That would never ever happen now. That would never ever happen now. No way in hell.
Well, I mean, if it did, there would just be fist fights in the theater.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Superman would just murk like basically all of the Avengers, except for I guess maybe Wolverine.
yeah. I mean, well, and then he would just regenerate from a pile of goo like every hour or two. You know what I mean?
Oil soup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, after he flash boils him to death. I mean, yeah. So you couldn't do it now, and Superman's so OP, you couldn't do it now.
Have you seen the trailer for Shazam?
Yes. Yeah.
That looks pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm digging that. I like at the beginning of the trailer they actually make a joke about how the DC movies have been too dark. He's like, it gets real Game of Thrones around here, and he's like, really? He's like, no, that'd be way too dark.
Yeah, like exactly. I was like watching it. I was like, yeah, this movie's definitely taking a note of what Marvel does, or I more accurately call it Misney.
Right.
Misney kind of, they do what is going to bring in the most broadest range of people. People haven't even read the comics, don't give a shit about them. They're going to go see Thor, whatever. And that's essentially what DC, I think, has just figured out. Like, yeah, we have to do that. We have to do that now.
Yeah.
Just to compete.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because, it's cool for us if you make a rated R comic book movie, but you're not going to bring in the numbers. So if you're going to compete and make the number that Marvel and Disney make, then you're going to have to bring in the PG-13 audience. So, and you got to make a more lighthearted story that younger people can, connect with. And so my buddy Justin actually made a comment. I think it was him. He was like, "This is like the movie Big with superpowers," and I was like, well, that's a really great way to put it. You know what I mean? I like when he's trying to charge people's cell phones. Like, you're charged. He's just frying people's phones.
Yeah. Also, and I think it's been confirmed, but who knows at this point. I would love it if The Rock was Black Adam.
You know what? They've been talking about that for 3 years, and I have not seen hide nor hair that's happening. Now, I heard he was supposed to play a couple different characters in DC. I haven't seen him attached to Marvel, but I've heard he's attached to DC to play a couple different characters. Black Adam's the most popular. There was another one. I can't remember who it was now, but yeah, he's...
Anyone that's listening, if you're not familiar with who Black Adam is, or Shazam, they're kind of... Shazam, you just watch the trailer, you understand it, but Black Adam is essentially Shazam's direct villain.
Right. He basically gets his powers the same way. Black Adam was supposed to be the character that Shazam is, but he went evil, basically. He's the evil Shazam, basically.
Right.
So, well, cool, man. Well, I'm not really... Not to say I'm not looking forward to a lot. I am. I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff, but immediately there's not a whole lot coming out that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting some of these projects done. I'm looking forward to getting this volume of Aurora done and this other book I'm working on. But right now, I think the thing
start throwing up Craigslist ads to outsource labor. Start tracing. It's like, all right.
Right.
Can you trace that for me?
Can you ink and said X, Y, and Z style? But yeah, I think, dude, one of the things I'm looking forward to is this one night only, September 27th, Transformers the Movie event, man. I'm looking forward to doing this. That's going to be super fun. I'm a huge... You can literally say all my life I've been a fan of Transformers. And the cool thing for me was I was telling my dad about it the other day because he came up to spend some time with my son, and they were having some grandpa-grandson time. I just kind of said in passing, I was like, oh, yeah, I was texting with some friends, and I was like, yeah, they're re-releasing Transformers the movie. He's like, I remember when I took you to see that, remember? I was like, yeah, you were more upset about Optimus Prime getting killed than I was. He's like, well, it was ridiculous. Because my dad was only 24. He was a kid raising a kid, basically, And so then he looks at me, he goes, can you get me a ticket? I was like, I sure can. So he's totally gonna. I'm looking forward to that. And then as far as like movies, I don't have an ear to the ground on movies right now. I'm interested to see what happens with Venom. I am, as far as gaming goes, man, I'm all in waiting for Resident Evil 2. I cannot wait for Resident Evil 2. just counting down. I can't wait. January can't get here fast enough. And then of course the Castlevania Netflix series. I'm super stoked about that. Hector from Curse of Darkness, they're putting him in it, and that's a big deal because it shows that the producer of this series, I forget the guy's name, it escapes me off the top of my head, but it shows that he knows his stuff. Like, Hector is a very fan favorite character from a slept on video game, PlayStation 2. So he announced on his Twitter, he's like, hey, Hector's going to be part of the storyline. And the cool thing is, Hector, when he's first introduced, is on PlayStation 2. But the game takes place like 3 years after Dracula's Curse, which is the third NES game. And he was one of the people that made the little monsters and stuff that you fight in the castle. He's called a Devil Forge Master. And so the story is, someone's trying to bring Dracula back from the dead early, and he's like, you know what, the things we did were terrible things, I'm not going to let this happen again. So he's like an anti-hero. He once worked for Dracula, and now he's like, I realize what we did was horrible. And so as you're going through the game, your boss fights are stuff like his former henchman, and you have to fight like Trevor Belmont as a boss fight a couple of times because Trevor shows up. He's like, I remember you. He's like, today's the day you die and everything. And you're like, no, wait, I'm really trying to turn over a new leaf, and so you got to fight him anyway. So it's weird fighting a Belmont. Shadow
Trevor.
Yeah, when he's hitting you with the crosses and the holy rain and all that kind of, it's fucking hard, man. So I'm like, man, that's what I've been doing to people for years. I feel bad. But yeah, so for him, because the Netflix series takes place during Dracula's Curse, so for him to work that in, and we get to see Hector when he was actually one of the bad guys, really shows that guy knows what he's talking about. He's a fan, so I'm super psyched for that. I'm looking forward to that pretty well. So it's coming out at the end of October, I think, so not too long. But Transformers is first. I can't wait for that.
And I'll be seeing it with you, and I've not seen it.
It's dope. In my opinion, it's one of the best animated movies ever made. Now, it's not without its problems. But the thing is, there are lighthearted, goofy moments, but on the whole, the narrative, they really take it seriously. I mean, you watch this movie and you're like, man, they made this for kids, really? Because this whole Reagan-era economics thing, where they were like, we're just making toys, this is a big toy commercial.
Right.
But they screwed up, and they made a good movie. They accidentally made a good movie. You know what I mean? That's why it still holds up to this day.
Every shit toy that would be like pumped out would have like a Saturday morning special for it.
Right.
Or,
You get He-Man and the Snake Men.
Basically. Have you watched it on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us?
No, I haven't. I've seen the documentary on there, but I haven't watched it.
I love that, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially the Transformer side.
Yeah, I want to watch just because I know it's got a lot of the old toy commercials on there, and I want to watch it. See the kids all dressed super 80s with the button-up polos and the jeans that don't fit right,
The audio is like 900% treble.
Yeah, it's like. And the weird pink VHS line dancing through the frame, just up and down, up and down.
Is it VHS line?
I want to make a promotional video for something like that where I'm like, and you could get all of this. It's the bad 80s salesman.
Now looking at these toy commercials as an adult, going back and watching them, you can find them on YouTube, obviously.
Yeah.
Watch them, it's like, who the fuck bought that?
What's all there was at the time? That's all there was.
I totally understand, but I'm like, nowadays, it's like, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
No points of articulation.
Rocket action. It's a solid, red rocket with nothing on it. It just spits out 7 inches.
Right.
Knocks over a paper cup.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, points of articulation wasn't even a term back then. What articulation? What's that? You know what I mean? Points. What? He pop his legs out and you pop his arms out and you put the thing down on his head. that was it.
Yeah, that was fucking Stretch Armstrong. Everything else is just like, well, if he wants to give someone a hug or do a cartwheel, he's good.
Right. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm super stoked about it. But it's going to be a little, because I've always said I would love to watch that movie in the theater where I could remember it. You know, I remember some things, like Starscream's my favorite character. I remember when he got killed, because I took it like every kid in the audience took it when Optimus Prime got killed. I was like, what? I was like, he got away. My dad's like, it's okay. I was like, but he got away. And then Spock killed him. You know, Leonard Nimoy does Galvatron's voice in the movie. And it's like, Spock killed Starscream. Screw Spock. I hate Star Trek now.
Get him fired. Hashtag Spock.
Right. Demoted. Well, cool, man. You got any closing thoughts or anything like that?
This has been super duper fun. I think maybe both of us coming into this knew what to expect, but we didn't. So
there was a game plan, but it was also very open and conversational. So,
right. I think we nailed pretty much everything we got to as far as like preliminary stuff when we talked about it beforehand. This was super fun. I mean, I love doing this shit. So
yeah, I like trying. What we're trying to do is create a. Like I said, kind of at the top, is we are just people who are into this kind of thing. I'm a content creator. Well, I write and I draw. I do books. I do comics. I do fan art and all kinds of stuff. But at my heart, the reason I do those things is I'm a fan of these things. I have been a fan all my life of these things. That's why I do it. Adam is a fan of all this stuff too. So we have these conversations. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we were to try to like create a community through a podcast for like, you know, people who aren't necessarily around where all these things are happening. Like, it's cool to go to E3, it's cool to go to San Diego Comic-Con, all this kind of stuff, but some of us, a lot of us, can't get to those things. So we think it's an interesting perspective for people who don't get to go to those big shows and things like that to talk about these things, because, you know, I just watched EVO a couple weeks ago, which is the big fighting game tournament in Las Vegas.
Sagat, baby.
Yeah, I know, Sagat and Lei Wulong. You know, so that's the one I was excited about, because that's basically Jackie Chan.
Fucking minute.
Huh?
He's been gone for a while.
Yeah. So I was excited about that. So, but yeah, I remember thinking to myself, man, I wish I could go to stuff like that. And I was like, I bet there's other people who like wish I could go to stuff like that and they just can't. So we're creating a community for you and all of us who want to jump in and talk about these things from our perspective. You know, we're still fans of all this stuff, and we're excited to get this rolling. So we're going to be doing one of these every week. Topic of discussion will probably change from week to week, but we'll try to hit some of the same notes a lot. And this thing will be refined more as we go along. I'd like to keep it to about an hour. I think we're going to hit about an hour and a half today. But that's cool. You just get to listen to our pleasing baritone speaking to you through your favorite audio device. Or watch us on YouTube, or you can say, screw these guys, I don't like it, and I'm going to go watch this other podcast that has 2 million viewers already. But really, you're not adding any value there. You add value right here. You come talk to us, listen to us, leave us some comments. You know, we're not going to beg, but but I do think we have interesting perspectives on things. I do think this is going to be more fun as we go along, and we're looking forward to interacting with all of you all. And we've got some things we're wanting to plan down the road, maybe some meetups, some things where you can meet us and we can all talk and we can hang out and just nerd out together. We are in Central Kentucky, centrally located in Lexington, Kentucky, actually. Horse capital of the world, if that matters to anybody.
Don't forget the bourbon.
No, don't forget the bourbon. Yeah, Central Kentucky, that's where it's at. You're not drinking bourbon, you're drinking whiskey. But anyway, this has been fun. I really appreciate your time, Adam. It's cool, super cool to me that we're going to tag team on this thing and get this rolling. And that's all I got. So,
just as a last note, if you guys listening, like if you notice like any kind of like in the future, like any differences in the quality of audio, we're doing this remotely right now, just because of schedules and stuff. So in the future, we'll likely have, you know, we'll be physically next to each other. So it'll be a little better. But either way, you know, we appreciate the download. We appreciate you guys listening.
We appreciate you all taking the time, hanging out with us tonight. It's been fun. We'll be coming at you all later. And we're also going to do some, whenever big news breaks or something like that, we'll do some cut-ins. We'll do some little 5 or 10 minute talk about it. So we'll throw them up online for y'all to check out. Because one of the things I take away, I listen to a lot of podcasts about this kind of stuff, and then I'm like, man, I don't want to wait a whole week to hear them talk about this thing that just happened. Sometimes that happens unless you go to their YouTube channel or whatever. But my goal for us is to, if something happens, let's talk about it as it happens. If something drops, I want to be able to break in and be like, hey, look, this thing happened. Let's talk about it while it's fresh, while I'm hyped and excited about it. So, so we got all kinds of stuff we're planning, all kinds of content, reviews, retrospectives, things we want to do, things we want to talk about. He has different perspectives on different things he's excited about. I have different things I'm excited about and perspectives on those. So we're going to be bringing all that to you all very soon. So, again, thanks for listening to us. And Adam, again, appreciate it, man. Thanks for being on. I will we'll hit it up again next week, unless something big happens in the meantime, and we'll hit it up before then.
Right on, dude. And thanks again for everyone for listening. And we got like 126 likes, and the page is like less than a month old. No,
it's like less than it's only like a week and a half old or something like that. So
it's super appreciative. We really appreciate that. And I'm not gonna beg for likes, but more is always better.
Please like us. We need friends.
Subscribe to Instagram.
Smash that button.
Just for your prospective listener, like me and Ray were like, holy shit, we got 100 likes.
Right.
And these pages obviously that have like millions, tens of hundreds of thousands, whatever. That's enough for us. I mean, if it gets more than that, awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody. We appreciate every individual. Like when I'm doing shows and stuff, people come up to me, it's like, hey, they'll come and hang out. I'll talk to them. I'm not too big to talk to anybody or whatever at any time. People, I've got fans that message me with problems they're having. I'm like, hey, I'll try to talk to you, if I got time. But anyway, we really appreciate every individual, everybody who listens to us. So thank you so much. And until next week, it's been Adam Speigle, Ray Coffman. Adam, where can they follow you on social media?
Right now, you can find me at The Speigle on Twitter.
Spell that for them, because it's...
It's my last name is SP as in Paul, E as in Easter, IGLE. It's probably phonetically pronounced Speigle, but we just call it Speigle. The Speigle at Twitter.
Cool.
At The Speigle at Twitter.
All right. And I'm Ray Coffman. You can follow me on Twitter at Coffman20XX, COFFMAN 20XX. You can also find me on random other social medias, but that's the main place you can find me at. So, again, until next week, that's Adam, I'm Ray, and you all keep rocking. We'll catch you all next week.
Good night.
Later.